In this episode of the IT Experts podcast, we're going to help you to work out how tiny little habits can help you stop getting out of overwhelm, start getting some real results, and start getting some absolute traction in not only your business, but also in your personal life. You're going to love this one. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast, the only podcast to help MSPs scale to 1 million, and if already there, get to 5 and go faster. At the end of the day, isn't it all about building a business that works for you rather than you for it? I hope you enjoy the show. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the IT Experts podcast. I hope you're all good today. Just me on my own today, talking to you about habits and how habits can help you. Now, how has this podcast come about? I'm going to run through with you a framework that we went through with one of our client intensives, which is a 2-day event we hold 3 times a year for the MSP Growth Hub clients. And this was a bit of a motivation section at the beginning. And a bit of a spoiler alert for Spotify and iTunes and all that kind of thing. If you are listening to it on the podcast, then absolutely fantastic. If you want to slide over to YouTube, you'll see the video version of this where I'll actually be sliding through the deck as well myself. So the reason that we did this, I was doing a little bit of personal development myself and thinking that some of the things that I was doing and resonating with some of the clients as well on progress and how far we're getting in life and how far you're getting in your personal life and your business life and what gets in the way. So I started doing a bit of research about motivation and about habits, and I came across a philosophy some of you may have heard of from a guy called Dan Sullivan, The Gap and the Gain, and I put it all together and I thought this would be rather exciting. I was just talking to the team recently. They said you have got to do a podcast on the importance of habits, the importance of creating great habits in your world so that we can share it with everybody, because the feedback was absolutely incredible. So that was all rather good. So look, let's just get stuck into it right now and see where it kind of goes. So the first thing that we were talking about was, the intensive session that we have is to go back through your annual plan, go back through to your 16-week plans and start to get some traction from looking at your vision, your North Star, the main point that you've got, and then working your way back to the activities and the individual things you're going to do every single day, which are these little habits. So I asked everybody who is excited about their annual plan. And some of the guys put their hands up and some of the guys didn't put their hands up. And it was one of these things that you set once a year in January, maybe at the end of December, and you get all excited about it. But then what happens is Christmas gets in the way, the January gets in the way, you get really busy, and then you kind of wane away from your main purpose, your definite purpose, your vision, your mission, exactly what it is that you want to call it, the main reason why you're doing what you're doing. So we then started talking about motivation. Now, when you talk about motivation, what pops into your mind? I've put an image on the screen right now, so that's pointless for people who are listening in their cars and out there while they're walking their dogs. But it's of Mr. Motivator, so that goes to show my age. Yes, this wonderful character who used to bump around on the screens that we used to have in the 80s and the 90s, trying to get everybody up, trying to get fit. I suppose probably a bit of a back in the day version of Joe Wicks, as it would be. But the greatest thing was that this guy would come on and he'd give you some motivation. Now, the thing about motivation is that motivation is very short-lived, because motivation is great for one-off tasks, but it's not great for a long time, because basically you'll run out of energy. Now, you think about the time when you come back from the gym, you think about the time you come back from holiday and I'm going to eat really well, you're motivated because you're either not feeling too great or you want to feel better. And then all of a sudden, you're in this place where a week or 2 weeks later, you've been to 3 gym sessions, you've stopped eating crisps and you haven't had a drink for 5 days, but you haven't lost any weight. And then you get disheartened and you sort of think, oh my word, what am I going to do now? How am I going to get going? And motivation is great for kick-starting, but it's the habits you'll learn. It's the habits that are going to be the things that keep this motivation going. So what we do with the clients at the Growth Hub is every 16 weeks, we have a 2-week period where we come in and we get some real hardcore accountability. And in that period we then have an 8-week alignment session just to make sure that everybody's kind of online. And in between that, we have, we refresh your plans, we have Q&As, we had accountability pods, vendor spotlights, a thing we do on sales and marketing. But what I'm trying to get at is when you come away from that 2-day centre, when you come away from your peer group, when you've come away from that event, you're motivated, you're bound, you're going to fly forwards, it's going to be amazing, the world's going to be great and everything's going to be fantastic, isn't it? And then a bit like the gym, a week later, you've gone back to the way you were before, scrambling around the tickets, fighting about projects, trying to work out if you're making any money or not, going through your accounts and everything. But then what happens, life gets in the way, as I kind of mentioned, and then you get to our 8-week alignment session, and guess what? Stuart and Ian are back in the house again. You're getting your accountability, you're getting the motivation, you're getting your connection with it. And then after that 8-week alignment session, you've got that momentum again, and you can fly forwards, and you've got the excitement, and you're moving things forwards, and then towards the next 16-week period, which is all very well and good, and it's all great. But what happens if you miss one of those sessions? What happens if something happens in your business or your personal life that kind of knocks you off kilter a little bit and means that you need to then go and focus on something else, which might mean a bit of a dip in the motivation? So a lot of things around this is around getting out of your comfort zone and helping you learn new things, learn better things to become, the great people that we are. So when we go through the comfort zone, when you're in your comfort zone, you feel safe and secure, right? It's all great. But you get to a point, you might hit rock bottom. You might get to a point where you're just frustrated or annoyed. You could get angry or stressed or just fed up. And then you get into the fear zone because you know something needs to change. Something's got to change, but you don't know how to change it. You don't know how to move forwards. And the lack of confidence, the find excuses, you then get a bit more reserved. You be affected by other people's opinions. And you're in this fear zone and you're looking for the thing, but something's got to change. But then all of a sudden what happens is you then go, you move into the growth zone. You move into the learning zone. And where you start to deal with challenges and problems, you test out new ways of working, you're learning new skills, building better relationships, you're getting more done. And it's actually an extension of your comfort zone. It's quite a nice place to be. But nevertheless, learning does slow down progress. And then all of a sudden you get into your growth zone. So you find your feet. Life gets easier. But it's like driving a car. You can change the gears and accelerate and indicate with no problems whatsoever. You get into flow. Your team start to achieve more. And, structured and target support. Obviously, this is something that we do at the Growth Hub. But this is something the community, the IT community can give you. When you have that structure, when you have your targets that are aligned to your annual plan, your quarterly plan, and you're kept accountable to them, and you've got experts helping feed you in on what the things that's going on in your world, it's really important we understand the journey that we go through on your comfort zone. And it's really important we understand about this growth zone, because when we work out where we are today, where we want to be, and then what are the things in that gap that need to change, then that's when the magic really starts to happen. And we talk about the 4 futures with the MSP journey that you may have heard from different podcasts that we talk about, which is the journey that every MSP goes on, whether you go through survive mode, through drive, thrive, or arrive. You get to a point where you can decide where you are going to be. So there's 2 things in your brain. There's a positive side or a negative side. And it's up to you. Did you know that the human body is the human being is the only person who can control what they do in their mind? Everything else is all about reproduction and just actually eating, surviving. But we can actually decide what we want to do. So we can decide whether we want to stay in our happy place, in our positive brain, or we can decide whether we stay in our negative place. So just be a little bit careful who you hang around with. And if we don't take any actions, then we'll just survive. If we do a little bit, we'll drive. But the most important thing is we talk about this growth zone, the growth zone with the getting out of your comfort zone. And that's the main thing that's going to help you to thrive and arrive in your business, because it's going to help strengthen, accelerate and stabilize your MSP. So let's talk about the gap and the gain for the minute, and whether you live in the gap and the gain. And you may have heard of this philosophy before. But it all starts with your brain, and it all starts with what's going on. So if you're living in the gap, you'll start off, and what you'll be doing is you'll have a vision for the future, and you'll look at what I want to achieve in the vision and the future and my North Star, etc. And you look at the ideal. So you start off, you then make some achievements, and then you look at the ideal. The problem is that you measure the gap, which is the difference between where you want to be and what you've achieved. And sometimes that's not a very pretty sight, is it? It could lead to failure, frustration, disappointment, low self-esteem, some guilt, some depressions, and you might think, oh my word, because you're just looking at what you want to achieve. All those people on Facebook, all those people on LinkedIn at all the events, everything that's going on, then you look back at what you've actually achieved, and it's not a great place because you measure what you've achieved against the ideal. It's like winning £1 million on the lottery, isn't it? Well, I haven't earned that much money, but you might have earned a significant amount of money. So if we change our thinking, where we then look into the gain, again, we have our starting point and our achievement, and we visualize what's going on in the future and what's going on to the ideal and where we want to be, and this big profitable business that's given us time, profits and freedom and all of that kind of great stuff. But what we do is we measure backwards to where we came from. So you might have grown your MSP by 10 or 15 clients in the year. What an achievement. You might have improved your profitability by some amazing account management in the last year and quite easily doubled your profit. What an achievement. But because it's not where you want to go, a lot of people don't look at it like this. So when you actually measure the gain, which is the difference between the ideal and the starting point, there's a fantastic explanation and slide on this on the video, by the way. If so, again, pop to YouTube to check that one out. You get success, satisfaction, confidence, high self-esteem, your enjoyment, and you get this optimism. So it's really important we look at that. And if that's what's happening with you, then what's that also happening with your team? Because as we know, as I mentioned, credits to the gap and the gain philosophy from Dan Sullivan. Because life is perfect, isn't it? You see these people here where their kids are taking pictures of their family on the beautiful beach with no sun in the background, and the dad's ripped and the mum's beautiful, and it's all of this kind of great stuff. Or you're sitting outside your fantastic new house and look at the amazing place it looks like. This particular picture's in America. Or you've got your Lamborghini, you've got your supercar, whatever makes and floats your boat. And you've got all of this great stuff, and then you've got reality in the middle, which is a rather funny image that I shall leave just with you there. But do you know what? We spend a lot of our time measuring and projecting ourselves against other people. This is what I call the social media effect, the Facebook effect. Everybody on Facebook's perfect. Everyone on Facebook's beautiful. Everyone on Facebook's achieving everything, aren't they? Of course they're not. But they're only sharing with you the things that they are achieving rather than some of the struggles that they may be having in their life. So create your own reality and live in the gain is basically what I'm saying. So what would that look like? You could be looking at your balance sheet has decreased. You've got more off-grid time, more time to spend with your family and your friends away from the business. More cash in the bank. You could have automations on some of your billing. You had no calls when you went on holiday. When was the last time you went on holiday and you left your phone on the stairs at home and did that? And no one bothered you and no one contacted you because you've got everything in a great place. Visualize that one for a minute. And your team's grown as well. The team has grown incredibly as well. So what I want you to do right now is just have a bit of a checkup from the neck up, which I think was a comment or saying from an amazing guy called Zig Ziglar. So I want you to think about, if you ever say the words, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, that comes from a red place, that comes from a negative place. When you say that I need to do this, it's a little bit better. It's still quite desperate. It's still quite, there's still quite a bit of tension in the language there and tension in the wordings there. But when you say you want to do it because you want to achieve and you can see the success that you've had and you're living in the positive part of your brain, you want to do something. How much motivation does that need? Very little. How much energy does it need? Not a lot. Do you think you could do it? I think you could. So think about, I've got to do it, I need to do it, or I want to do it. How does that work out? So let's talk about how do we identify positive habits and build them into momentum? So some little habits that can help keep you on the track, that can help keep you moving forwards. It's being more present at home. How do you be more present at home? Be consistent with your team's one-to-ones. Remember that when you book a one-to-one with your team will be more excited about that one-to-one than you will be. So if you just say, I can't make it that day because I'm too busy, I've got too much stuff on, that is going to have 2 or 3 times or even 10 times the effect on your team than it will be on you. So value that time. Checking in on P1 tickets. Not checking in on P1 tickets could also be a habit. Actioning your emails, booking off-grid time, keeping yourself accountable to your actions, dealing with tasks that you've been putting off. If you think about just that little list that I've just read out there right now, how many of those things, if you got them covered off and if you've got those very, very small habits in place to cover off those items, what sort of impact do you think that would have in your day? And the other thing as well to this is, when you finally do get round to picking up your to-do list that's got 100 things on it, and then you finally sit down to eat that frog, as Brian Tracy said, and you start to look at things that you just got to get to a point where I've just got to go through these tasks, doesn't it always take a lot less time than you actually thought it did? Didn't you actually create a great chaos in your brain that actually made you think this is a lot worse than it actually was? Could also be about booking company meetings as well. Make sure that we've got those booked in the diary as well, really small. So how do we get started, right? How do we get this thing moving? What do we need to do to get started? So first things first, stop blaming yourself, right? Oh, I'm rubbish at this. Oh, I'm rubbish at that. Stop blaming yourself. Remember, you've got two choices. You either live in the negative side of your brain, or you're going to live in the positive side of your brain. It's only a test. I always use this philosophy that when I do something new, it's a test. So guess what? When it doesn't work or something goes wrong with it, it's not negative, just test didn't work, did it? When you've got a proven test, when you've got the proven procedure, you then build it into your process. You build it into what it is that you need to do. And then all of a sudden, guess what happens? It starts happening. And that's the SOP. And then that's the thing that you think further forward with. Do you think when they built the first airplane, they just went great straight across to America? No, of course they didn't. They tested it. Start off small. Small, tiny habits start to build great momentum. Break down into super small chunks. Make sure that they satisfy. Make sure that when you've done it, you feel really good about it. Okay? I'll share with you in a minute just something that happened with me recently when I was on holiday. You must get immediate returns. It must be a quick, I'm going to do something and I'm going to get something back. I'm going to feel good. I'm going to tick off something on my interest list. You know, you've got to get that gratification so you're feeling good about it. It must be effortless. It must be easy. You've got to commit. You've got to take action. And it's all around keeping on track. So how do we keep ourselves on track? Surround yourselves with prompts, right? I've got this little thing in our summer house at home and it says one more in 2024, which actually came from a book from Ed Mylett that I was reading about, one more. And it's just like, just do one more rep, just do one more day of, exercise, do one more thing that you're going to do. Just that one extra thing more makes a really important difference. And surround yourself with prompts. Get an accountability buddy. Could be someone in the business, could be one of your peers, might be someone in the community. Do it now. Do this now. Take action. Here's the thing. So, I don't like reading. I haven't got a great profile for reading. Don't really enjoy it. Takes too long. Get a little bit bored. And I am not ashamed to say I probably haven't read more than about 5 books in the whole of my life. I listen to stuff, right? I listen to audio books. I watch videos. But I knew that if I started to read, particularly late at night, it's going to help my sleep. And I thought, yeah, how's that going to help my sleep? It'd be much better to flick on Instagram or YouTube or whatever. So someone said to me when I was going through this, just read for 2 minutes, then read for 3 minutes, then read for 5 minutes, then 10, then 15, then 20, and build it up. And at the time we did this, which was probably about 6 weeks ago now, crikey, in Q2, I'm going to say in 2024. I went on holiday and I took a book with me and I said, I'm going to read this book. And my wife looked at me like I got rocks in my head. And basically, I sat there on the day one and I said, I've got 223 pages of this book to read. Oh my God. And they went, how am I going to do that? I went, right, it's 28 pages a day. Okay. How long is it going to take me to read 28 pages? And my wife says to me, it's probably about no longer than an hour, because I wasn't a great quick reader. I read this whole book. It was incredible. It was unbelievable. It was Napoleon Hill's Success Habits, actually, by the way. Very good book. But do you know what? I went from 2 minutes to an hour to reading the whole book. And how incredible is that? And my sleep has improved no end. The quality of my sleep has improved no end. And guess what? I'm learning buckets of stuff, which is getting me even more motivated and even more excited about what's going on. Keep habit tracking. Really, really simple. Don't use an app. Bit of paper. Put some crosses on it, some squares on it, and just say, have you done it? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. You might want to do a cold shower. You might want to make sure that you've read your book. Have you had a digital detox? So I've got another little thing going on at the moment. When I walk home at night, how easy is it to walk through the door with the phone in your hand and go, yeah, won't be a minute, kiss the kids on the head, go and sit in the other room and sit on the phone. Very, very easy. What is that like for them? They're waiting for you to come home. It's amazing that, dad's come home, mum's come home. Oh, we're doing this. It's really great. And you're not doing it. So now when I get home, I put my phone on the stairs and I put my phone on the stairs for 2 hours. I pick it up because I enjoy what I do. I always want to keep connected, and that's the way of the world these days. But I focus on that time on the family, that 2 hours on the time with the family when they're having their dinner. I'm having my dinner with my wife, and it's super focused time. It's all about making sure that we have these little habits. Use habit stacking. So if you're already reading a book and you want to do something else as well, so you maybe a little bit of exercise or something, do it at the same time, but start to stack your habits together. At the end of every day, this is really important. So if you're reading a book, here's an example of habit stacking. Note down 3 wins at the end of every day that you have achieved. And then set 3 goals for the next day on what you want to achieve in the next day. The reason that this is really powerful is when you go to bed at night, guess what happens? All of a sudden, your brain, your subconscious brain's trundling away, working out how we can make these things happen. Really, really powerful. Good habits will keep you on your trajectory. So just start to build up all of these small habits. So when we go back now and we look at what's going to happen now with the clients that we spoke to this about, and this was incredible feedback. Yes, we get momentum at our 2-day intensive. Then we control our lives. We control what gets in the way. We build tiny little habits. We build all of these little things together to keep that arrow on its trajectory. And then when we get to the 8-week alignment, guess what happens? We then build that momentum, and the momentum gets stronger. The results get faster. You get more time, profits and freedom. And it works in a really great way to help you, a small way to make some massive, massive gains. So just coming in to wrap up now. So when performance is measured, performance improves. But when performance is measured and reported, the rate of performance accelerates. And that's Pearson's law. Super, super powerful. So, number one, get off the back of this podcast. Number one, form great positive habits. Number two, always measure backwards. Live in the gain, live in the positive part of your brain. And there's no winners and losers in life. There's just winners. And then there's learners. So look, I hope you enjoyed this short little motivational blast of habit tracking. How can we bring all of these great things together to help you stay on track? We know that the world of running an MSP, you can get into overwhelm super, super quick. You can stay in overwhelm for a very, very long time. But remember, it's your choice. You're the one who's choosing in your brain, deliberately or not, on where you're spending your day, where you're spending your time, where you're spending your hours, who you're spending your time with. And they always say, don't they, whoever they are, you become the 5 people that you most associate yourself with. So look, I'm going to sign off to say, if you ever want to get yourself in one of those intensive rooms with the rest of our clients at the MSP Growth Hub, just message myself or Stuart here on LinkedIn, hit the website, book a call. But in the meantime, whoever you are, wherever you are, go and find some help, go and find some accountability buddies, go and lean into the community, find some great people to hang yourselves around with, build some great habits, build some amazing opportunities for you to stay on track, keep on track, be super deliberate, be amazing. Go and have a great day. And I look forward to catching up and connecting with you all soon. See you later. Bye for now. Just before you go, and if you're curious about how this episode links with the ability to scale your MSP to $1 million, or if you're already there, accelerate to 5, then we want to invite you to come and take the MSP Mastery Quiz. And in just 3 minutes, you're going to get a 360-degree scan of your business where you can identify the 1 or 2 tactics that can help you find more time, engage and align your people, and help generate more leads in your MSP. It's really simple. Just click on the link in the show notes. And if you have enjoyed this episode, we'd love to get some feedback from you by means of a rating, review on Spotify or iTunes or your podcast platform of choice. We really appreciate every single one of them. Now you can go and enjoy the rest of your day, and we look forward to catching up and connecting with you soon. All the best now.